So good morning, boys and girls. Welcome to my class today. I'm so happy that you guys are here and are excited to learn. Today we will be starting off the day by learning a few vocabulary words that belong into our next story. These vocabulary words, we're going to go over them together. I'm going to post them on the wall so you guys can take a look at it, and then I'll explain to see what they each mean. So our first vocabulary word is the word shabby. Does anybody know what the word shabby means? Erin, do you have an idea?
It's old.
Something old? Very good. That's actually a really good description about it.
Because at the picture, I see that the house.
Well, without looking at the picture first.
I think that my prediction of the picture, I think
Okay. Hold on to that thought, okay?
Okay.
Abraham, do you know any idea?
Well, what I know for what the word shabby is it's basically a ruined old house that's been decaying over the years, and it's
Very good guess, prediction. It's almost like that. What shabby means, and this is a picture of the word shabby. The definition is in poor conditions through long or hard use or lack of care. Okay, by looking at this picture, can you guys tell me if that picture means that it hasn't been taken care of, or do you think it means that it's been through a lot of hard use?
it was not taken care of.
You think it wasn't taken care of? What about you, Abraham?
I don't think it's been taken care of because there's been a lack of paint. Paint has been decaying, and there's been a lack of paint as well. The roof is poorly designed.
Okay, the roof is poorly designed. It looks like it's kind of falling apart. So this is a picture for the word shabby. I'm going to put that right there, okay? So that way you guys can always take a look at it if you guys have any problems. Our next word is foundations. Does anybody know what foundations is? Abraham.
Foundations is the founding of a structure or a landmark.
Okay, a structure or a landmark.
Like the Washington Monument.
Close. It has to do with structures, but it doesn't have to do with like landmarks. Erin?
Like a person used to live there, but they tear the part down.
No, not quite exactly. Foundations is the lowest load-bearing part of a building, typically below ground level.
Oh.
So like this building, this house that we are on right now, on the bottom there's a part that is called foundations. And can you guys repeat after me? Foundations.
So foundations is like the floor of.
It is. It's the floor. It's the floor of the. It's underneath. It's built on a foundation.
Like in videos, like some videos I saw basically a while back.
Okay.
About first the foundation on the ground, then the scaffolding of the building.
Okay.
And then the structural stuff, and then basically.
Do you think that you can build a house without a foundation?
Nope, you can't.
You can't, because then it'll fall apart. It'll be on the ground wouldn't be too stable. So
San Francisco.
Exactly. San Francisco is known to be famous for using trolleys as a good part of their transportation.
Yeah.
Now that we know our vocabulary words, I'm going to introduce to you a strategy to help you summarize a story, because at the end we're going to be reading a story together. I'll be reading it, you guys will be listening, and then at the end of our story we are going to fill this out. And the main purpose for this is so that we're able to write a summary sentence. We want to make sure that we use our story, not other ideas, that we use our story to fill out this chart so that we can have a good understanding of what we read. Because sometimes we like to read a story like The Three Little Pigs or Little Red Riding Hood. We kind of know the story, but if you don't really know the story too well, you kind of have to make sure to break it down in parts so that at the end you're able to give a brief summary sentence on
Like-
what it was
like
about.
stories, you build it up with parts.
Yeah, so there's a beginning, a middle, and an end. But there's also things, well, we'll get to that. But this is our chart. It's called the SWBST chart. And it's used to summarize a story.
Can I read?
You guys, at the end of this lesson, I will be giving you guys each a worksheet. And you will be choosing a story of your choice. It can be an easy one, but it needs to be filled out. Okay? So I know that you get how to do this. So what does SWBST mean? S means somebody. W wanted to. B but. S so. And T then. So somebody. What's the main character? So somebody wanted to or tried to, but the problem, somebody wanted to do something, but then there was a problem. So is the solution. I saw that. It's okay. It's the wind. That's okay. So is the solution. It's the solution to the problem because there was something going on, and then there's a solution. There's a
Solution has SO too in the beginning.
Exactly. So that's a good way to actually connect that. Then, what was a final resolution? And then we're going to write all this in together, and then together as a class, we're going to write the sentence. Is there any questions? Yes, Erin.
How is concrete made?
How is concrete made? That's a good question. How about you pick a book on how concrete is made, and then you're able to fill this in. But concrete, I can tell you this, it's made out of rock. It's made out of our Earth's natural elements. Yes, Erin?
All I know how glass is made, but how much time every day work?
Okay, so boys and girls, our story for today is The Little House. By looking at the picture, what do you think this book is going to be about? Erin?
About a little house being in, I think, a neighborhood.
A neighborhood? Abraham?
Well, as far as I could see, there's really not much of that. Basically, that shows to be on what's gonna happen, on what's the story. But as far as I can tell, it's probably maybe just about a little house on the countryside.
Okay, A Little House on the Countryside. So we're going to head and start reading. This is called The Little House by Virginia Lee Burton. The Little House, story and pictures by Virginia Lee Burton. To Dorji. Once upon a time, there was a little house way out in the country. She was a pretty little house, and she was strong and well built. The man who built her so well said, "The little house shall never be sold for gold or silver, and she will live to see our great-great-grandchildren's great-great-grandchildren living in her. The little house was very happy, and she sat on the hill and watched the countryside around her. She watched the sun rise in the morning, and she watched the sun set in the evening. Day followed day, each one a little different from the one before, but the little house stayed just the same. So before we even start to write our chart, who can tell me what the main character is? The somebody. Erin?
Little house.
The main character is about the little house. Very good.
I think I read this book before.
Okay, well, if you read it, don't give it away to those that have not read it.
Yeah. It's like
Oh, well, look at this. Now it looks like it's nighttime here. In the nights, she watched the moon grow from a thin new moon to a full moon, then back again to a thin old moon. And when there was no moon, she watched the stars. Way off in the distance, she can see the lights of the city. The little house was curious about the city and wondered what it would be like to live there. That's one of our vocabulary words, is curious. Who can tell me what curious meant? Abraham?
Curious man, it means you're eager to know what.
She was eager to know what happened. in the city. She was curious about the city.
In the metropolitan area.
All right. Time passed quickly for the little house as she watched the countryside slowly change with the seasons. In the spring, when the days grew longer and the sun warmer, she waited for the robin to return from the south. She watched the grass turn green, she watched the buds on the trees swell, and the apple trees burst into blossom. She watched the children playing in the brook. So it looks like it's gaining a little bit more. All right, guys, so now that we read our story and we learned our key vocabulary words so that way you know what they mean, we are going to fill in our chart. And we're going to do this as a class. We want to do this together, okay? So if there's any doubts, this is the time to ask your questions. So, summarizing the story. Somebody, who was the main character? Erin, thank you for raising your hand. Well, who's the main character?
The main character was the little house.
I loved that you used a complete sentence. Thank you for saying it that way. So, the main character was the little house.
Point.
Very good, thank you. What did she want to do? What did she want? Abraham, thank you for raising your hand.
What did she want to do?
Uh-huh.
Well, I'm not sure if wanted is the word,
Okay.
but what she was curious about living in the city, about
Okay.
how is the life.
So, in a complete sentence,
So in a complete sentence, she was curious about
the little house.
the little house was curious about what was it like living in the city.
House, very good. Was curious. I think I want to put a check mark so that we know that we use our vocabulary words. We're probably not going to use all our vocabulary words because there's no reason to put frost or trolley in some of these.
Or carriage.
Or carriage. The little house was curious about
The
what it was like to live in the city. Very good. But what happened? Erin, what happened? She was curious, but then what happened?
When she lived in the city, so in my
But
In
what,
the end,
in the end, she is taken back farther into the countryside and
no
And
longer
what
live in
phase?
the city.
is no longer curious
About the
about what is in the city.
and is no longer
curious
curious
about the city.
about the city. Very, very good. You guys had excellent ideas. I love that you guys used your vocabulary words to fill this chart in. So, now that you know how to fill in these charts, what these charts do, they help organize our thoughts and what we want to say. Sometimes we're like, well, I don't know who it is. Well, you just look back in the book. And I can always say, my book was about the main character. Oh, it was about the little house. So that's what I'm going to put. And then you can keep on reading and it's going to say what you wanted to do. So very good. I really appreciate your guys' participation. Now I want you guys to pick out a story that you guys like, that you're familiar with. It can be easy. The reason why it can be easy is because I am mostly concerned on how you guys are going to fill out this chart. I want to make sure that you know how to fill out this chart. Okay? So here's one for you, and we're going to be done for the day. That's going to be your ticket out the door. Make sure you pick a book, fill out your chart. That will be your ticket out the door to go to recess. Very good.